I want to give you a quick tip that you could try, and you tell me what you think. Most people who mix a lot of stuff know this. It's not enough to just roll off bass frequencies on the individual tracks of things you're mixing. You got to get on your mix bus and get rid of, in my opinion, 20 hertz on down is completely unnecessary. 25 hertz, 30 hertz, I'll often do the high pass filter at 30 hertz. I do it often. And the reason is you don't need those frequencies below 30. Now, some people will tell you you do. You need those. Some music has instruments at 20 hertz. I have to tell you, this is what you're going to do to check and see whether it matters to you in your mix. Because believe me when I tell you, a lot of speakers give you extended low end. So even if you do roll off everything below 30, if the stuff that exists at 20 also exists at 30, you won't need it anyway. And this is how you check. You need like a pair of headphones that has a lot of low end on it, or speakers that give you a lot of low end, or your car, wherever you get the most low end, whatever listening environment you have to check how your mix sounds in a place that gives you the most low end. Pick a spot. Whichever place for you is the answer that has the most low end, right? That's the spot. You listen there to your mix with this high pass filter at 30 or 25 or 28. Pick a number. And then you're rolling off everything below it. Compare that to your mix with no high pass filter on the low end. And tell me what happens to the entire mix. Because what a lot of people will do is basically roll off low with a high pass filter and roll off the highs with a low pass filter. I actually don't like the low pass filter on the high end. I don't like removing that. I find that a mix sounds less open when you do that. So I will often only remove the low end, and then I'll use a lot of saturation plugins or something, tape emulations, this and that, which sort of removes the highs kind of more naturally anyway. It'll give you a more natural boost below the super highs and then sort of give you your low pass filter anyway. A lot of tape plugins do that. But the point is, in my opinion, I like an open high end and I want my low end controlled. My low end controlled means if there's information at 10 hertz, 15 hertz, 20 hertz, most likely it's unnecessary. It's causing your speakers to work harder, and all that's doing is making the rest of your mix sound less loud than it could be, less good than it could be, less clear than it could be, because your speakers are trying to produce the sounds that they cannot produce, because most people don't have a system that will produce 20 hertz and below. So get rid of it. It's killing you. I'm telling you, if you compare it on a system where when you cut off everything below 25 hertz, or 30, and you can't tell the difference or you like it better, that proves to you don't need it. So that's the importance of having something that gives you extended low end. Like even too much, like a pair of headphones that gives you way too much low end is really good for a test like this, because you want to hear if it does anything at all beneficial for you to have that stuff down there. And if your speakers don't reproduce it, it won't tell you if it's helpful at all to have it. And what I'm telling you is it's most likely not helpful, especially if you're doing any kind of music that really doesn't have anything down there at all. And even if it does have something down there, I'm telling you, if it exists at 20, it probably exists at 30. You're not separating 20 and 30 with different instruments down there. Whatever's at 30 is at 20, and you probably don't need it. That's what I'm telling you. I watched Chad Blake mix a song and, multiple songs. And when I watched him do the Arctic Monkeys song, Do You Want to Know? I noticed the low end is so powerful. The last thing you would think is there's not enough low end. And he's rolling off everything below, I think, 28 hertz is all gone. So it shows you right there. When you think of Dr. Dre, you think powerful low end. That really means tight, controlled low end. It doesn't mean hugely boomy, which means he's rolling off stuff. So always roll off on your mix bus below a certain amount, and it will make your mix sound more powerful, and it won't feel like it's lacking low end. I'm not telling you to roll off everything below 60, but, a lot of gear has that low filter for this reason, and you could easily do it on an EQ one band in Pro Tools that comes free, or any stock EQ. Just get rid of everything below a certain number and you'll be happy. Don't necessarily do it on the high end, because I don't do it on the high end, and I know a lot of guys who don't do it because we like as much of an open top as we can, especially today. Mixes have a tendency to be brighter. I was listening to Chameleon the other day, which is an older, it's an old school mix, and it sounds great, but it also doesn't have a whole lot of high end on it. So, in my opinion, mixes of today are kind of notoriously bright. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of them. And I have a tendency to just want to have as much of the airy open top as I can. And as soon as I kind of put something up there to get rid of super highs, I find it doesn't help. So, anyway, that's me. I hope you liked the tip. I don't want to keep this one too long, but tomorrow I'm going to do more of a deep dive even on what Chad does on his mix bus and his workflow style. So Chad Blake we're talking about here. So catch that. I'm going to give you my opinions on that. Any questions, leave them in the comments. Hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. Everybody keep in mind, you guys got this. Take it easy.